seem to have issues most weeks across the footy codes with technology. Jimmy, we'll kick off with you. I think you had some thoughts about AFL and score review and that side of things.
Yeah, I want to start this by saying the score review, it leaves a lot, obviously, to be sort of looked at, and there's still a lot of issues with it. But my issue this season in particular has become the fact that goal umpires do not want to back themselves in to make a decision. We're seeing far too many goal umpires go, that was a point, but let's just send that one upstairs and check it. There was one on the weekend that was a blatant point, and the goal umpire went, can we just have a look at that? And then all of us sitting at home and those at the game see it on the screen and see that the ball was half a metre behind the line, a metre away from the goalpost, as clear a day behind as you could get, and the goal umpire's in perfect position, and he didn't want to make the call. So technology is good, and I feel like the AFL score review has been better this season, but the goal umpires are now just so reliant on it and too afraid to get exposed by making a mistake that they're sending every single decision upstairs, and it's just pissing people off. And so the score review just cops flack because that's what is happening and delaying the game. But in my eyes, it's the goal umpires who have become the issue this year, and I don't know what to do about it.
But that's the biggest problem in every single sport. So, like on the weekend in rugby league, Abby Coruscant went and scored a try. When he reached over the line, the ball came away from his hand, but then he caught it again, slammed it down. Referee called a try. When they went to the review, the bunker then overturned the decision. So the bigger problem is that the umpires and the referees aren't being empowered to make the actual call because they're too scared to then make the wrong call. That's the problem. Like, they actually need to be empowered to go, okay, hey, goal umpire, make your call, and if we feel like we need to actually look at it, like, we'll look at it anyway because we're paying millions of dollars to set up the ARC or bunker or DRS or VAR or anything else. So, like, actually use it properly. So use it to overturn the howler. That's what it was originally put in for.
Yeah.
But they're looking for any little thing that they can possibly do to like screw up the game and find a reason to overturn it.
Exactly. And they're often sort of non-footy plays that they're looking for. They're trying to come up with these technicalities. And I mean, with the score review, you're right, Jimmy. I mean, for a long time, they didn't have the right technology. They didn't have enough information to be able to make the decision. Now everyone's shit scared to make a decision, so everything is getting reviewed. That's the constant complaint every week at the moment, is just how much stop-start the game is. And that's often been a problem with all these technologies, and why, cricket, they're able to give them a limited number of reviews, and that means we're not just doing it all day. But that's different to trying to get all these little technical plays right as well. They're just doing it far too often. People are too scared to make a decision. And then we don't really still have the right technology anyway. The one on the weekend where nobody could see if the guy had taken the mark before or after the line, and there was a push-off anyway and all that. And someone feels confident to make a clear decision when no one thought we had enough information to make that decision in that situation anyway.
Well, that one as well, that should have just gone to the umpire's call, because there's no way the ARC could have actually determined, yep, he took that mark before the ball crossed line. You couldn't see it. So at that
there was no one in a better position. There was no one in a better position than the gut. Yeah.
He was right there. He needs to say, this is what happened. And the players themselves are pretty damn good at saying, that was a goal, that was a behind, I touched that, I didn't touch that. The onus needs to go on them a little bit to say, this and that. Obviously, a player is going to sort of bend the truth that better suits their narrative. But most of the time, it's just, I don't know, the technology coming in is good, but it's not being used correctly.
But ultimately, we're the problem. We're the ones, and us as fans, not as media. We're
us three?
Just us three.
Everyone, because it's just like, if there's a call against my team, I can find a reason why that should have been the other way. Whereas, like, if it's a correct call, like, fans just jump on the umpires regardless, or the referees, or whoever, jump on them, harass them. Half the people are happy with it, half the people aren't happy with it. Like, that's the way it is. The technology needs to be to, like, really just get rid of the horrific call.
Yeah.
And for the most part, we just need to shut up and just accept the umpire or referee's choice. And that's what they're there for, because otherwise get rid of them. Just have score review. Have a bouncer in the middle, and not like AFL bouncer,
we could
a bouncer to separate the players so they don't just like, oh no, I mean more a bouncer to separate the players when they start punching on. But like otherwise, like what the hell are they there for? Like you're there and you're overruling, like you're looking for anything to overrule these. If they've made a decision, like this is the thing that gets me about cricket with DRS. If it's clipping the top of the stump and people go like, oh, that should be out. The umpire gave it not out. But it's like, it never looked out. It looked like crap. It shouldn't be out because the umpire gave it not out. If he turned around and said, yeah, that's out, like, it's out, unless it's completely missing the stumps.
Yeah, I think for most sports across the board, people are happy that there is technology. Like I'm old enough to remember some of the run-out howlers and some of the, spin bowling howlers and that kind of thing. I mean, it's better that we have it. I think mainly the biggest gripe that a lot of people have across the sports now is just how damn long it takes for them to make a decision, how many angles they look at. In the Premier League, we're waiting for them to draw these lines and get these angles and things. In the NBA, they're going back to, the house and, back and forth. You don't know who's telling who what to do and how many angles do you need to look at, just make a decision. Yep. So generally across the board, it's helped. We want to get these decisions right. And you're right, Mertz, it's those howlers. You really want to stamp them out of all sport, those ones that are just grossly wrong. The umpire, referee just missed something or whatever. But we've taken it way too far, way too technical, I think, with some of them in some of the sports. Yep. Look at in a basketball game, it can win you the game. If you challenge a call with 3 seconds left and you didn't knock the ball out of bounds and you have a challenge up your sleeve, it can literally win you a playoff game. It could win you a championship. I mean, for the most part, they're handy to have.
And I get it. Like that is the difference. Because so on the weekend in that league game, the Coruscant try was denied at 10-0 just before halftime. So it could have changed the game. It ended up being a 34-10 win to the Broncos. But like, you don't know momentum how that changes. It changes momentum. They score another one just before halftime. They take a lead into the break. They have a bit of confidence, as opposed to going in 16-0 down. They lose the game. But happens.
Well, I think technology is one we could go on about.
Go on forever.
And we're going to have a new example every week of something that we disagree on or whatever. So maybe that'll be a segment on Sports Ranting is technology this week, or howlers this week. I think we'll move on. We wanted to have a chat about commentary. This is another sort of polarizing issue and one that tends to fire up fans. Should there be a bit of nepotism, or should there be fathers commentating their sons? Obviously, there was a very high-profile one with Eddie Maguire, being the president of Collingwood and commentating their games. And I think Tim Lane actually quit over that and said, I'm not going to stick around if you're going to let him call games. But, it's an interesting one. It seems to pop up a lot. There's some commentators people love and hate. I don't know, Jimmy, from an AFL perspective, you want to jump in?
The Eddie one was, I think if we're ranking them, Eddie was so far in the front that he was a blur. Like, that was just, he didn't hide the fact that anytime he was commentating Collingwood games, he was basically on their side. Foxtel introduced a press red for Ed, that you could just listen to Eddie Maguire commentary during Collingwood games. That's how far it got. The one on the weekend, the Luke Darcy one, obviously commentating Sam. I don't know if because Sam was in, that Channel 7 shifted Darcy from play-by-play to expert comments. I actually didn't think he was too bad. You could tell that there was moments where he wanted to sort of jump in and talk more about him. But it happens. There was a game, the Hawthorn game yesterday, Jordan Lewis in commentary, and he got called out by Jack Rewalt mid-game saying, it's all right, you've got your glasses on, we'll move on from that one. They know that they're doing it. And from a fan point of view, if you're trying to watch a neutral game, it can be frustrating. But if you're watching your team and you hear the commentators blowing up or talking up the other team, and Mertz, I know you pointed one out, that the Giants game, the Giants were smoking them, but yet the commentators are maybe not at that point, but they were on top of the game. But the commentators are talking about the opposing team basically still being in the game, and there's still every chance, and they're doing all this, they're doing that. Commentators just forget to talk
not
about.
just that. They're talking about how they're doing so much better. They were talking about Lincoln McCarthy, and saying that like he was, it was the best 5-touch game he'd ever seen, and it's like, but he had 5 touches. So that's
5 touches.
Yeah, that's not a thing.
You're not doing anything.
No. He's not Cyril Rioli. He's not having that sort of impact on a game. So like the bias still is very rampant in commentary. And it's so frustrating as a fan to sit and listen to. And I get to a sense they've got to do it because they want to keep interest in the game and be like, no, Brisbane still have a chance here. They're doing all this right. They're doing all that. But goddamn, it's frustrating. And I just like,
but be balanced.
Yeah, to give it, just talk about, if a team is flying and doing all the things better, talk them up. It doesn't matter if Brisbane are not doing things right, don't talk about them. Like, you don't have to point out Lincoln McCarthy's 5 touches.
Yeah.
Like, it's not hard to do.
I don't know. Giants and Swans are going to be on top of the ladder playing this week, and it's playing, 1:30 on Saturday?
Yeah.
It's, like, I don't know how much Melbourne's going to actually give a crap about it, but I find that there's a bit of a, like, Sydney bias, especially. People like Brisbane. But, I mean, the Giants have been here for 13 years now. It's like the AFL just have to accept that they're part of the league at this point.
Well, like anti-Sydney bias, you mean? There's a big
anti-Sydney
bias.
bias.
I mean, I mean,
it's Victoria still.
That's probably the worst one, one of the worst ones for me. It's a pretty long list. But the barracking for the Melbourne teams, if Collingwood's down against Brisbane in Brisbane, they really do their best to lift them and get them into the game. Not that they're having any impact, but to tell the people back home that there's still a chance.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we'd all struggle a little bit. I mean, we might watch Australia's cricket team playing in South Africa or New Zealand with their local commentators and go, listen to this bias. Australian commentators are as bad as anybody else with the cheering and wanting the team to win. And I think we'd all have a little bit of that. I want accuracy. I think accuracy would be pretty handy. I get very frustrated watching guys just get players' names wrong, make mistakes with that sort of thing. It's like, could you just do a little bit of research? Yeah. And then you want your colour man, your expert commentator to give us some analysis. There used to be an example in rugby league when Sterlo and Gus Gould were commentating, and Gus Gould would tell you what you've just seen. Like, we all just saw that, Gus. We know what just happened. Sterlo would give you the analysis. He would actually predict it before it was going to happen.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of commentary that I want. That's the real expert commentary.
And he is the kind of guy that Parramatta legend didn't talk about Parramatta all the time. Talk about everything.
Yeah, balance
going on.
Yeah.
Kerry O'Keefe, I have a bit of a sometimes he can talk a little bit much, but I think Kerry O'Keefe, in terms of like watching the game and understanding new people coming through and everything, there's almost no comparison to anyone else. He just like watches so much cricket. And that's what they need to do. But it's hard for these like former players to have that wide scope of what they're actually looking at. So in the NRL yesterday, I flicked it on for the end of the Channel 9 game. And yeah, the Sharks won, but you got Paul Gallen on there talking about everything that they do and, the coach should be really happy about. Paul Gallen trains the team. So why is he commentating on his own team?
Can we all just agree that Ricky Ponting is perhaps the best commentator currently going around, though?
Yeah, genius.
Yeah.
Genius.
But he's a guy
and gives expert analysis and breaks things down and is so straight down the line with everything he does.
But he's exactly like in rugby league, it was Sterlo for so long because he understands the game. And like that's why Ponting's a wizard and he gets all these predictions. It's not because he's like, he is a wizard and can see the future. It's like literally just he knows the game so well. So it's like, if they're smart, they'll do this. Oh yeah, they did that and they got the wicket. Like,
yeah.
But this is where it's tricky. In AFL, a lot of us look back with rose-tinted glasses about Dennis Cometti, Bruce McAvaney, probably not quite as much, but the two of them together is just unbelievable. And some of those grand final moments, they just get it right. There was actually a classic example I saw a while ago. I think it was Kathy Freeman's famous gold medal, where McAvaney was with Raylene Boyle, and she was telling a story that he tapped her on the shoulder after she crossed the line just to say, don't say anything. Just let the moment
just let it go.
come.
Yeah.
Okay, and then now go. But these guys are trained media commentary professionals, and now we have almost all of them ex-footy players or even an ex-cricketer in one case. But, but then they have insight to the game, but they don't necessarily have the calling experience.
JB's also a former North Melbourne president for however long.
Yeah.
He's got a bit of AFL experience. Defending JB, what is this one?
I did not predict we were going to go down that path. With his yelling and we haven't even mentioned BT, but maybe we have in passing. But look, it's a polarizing one. I don't think any of us think it's an easy job.
No. Yeah. Look, it's also hard. I'm going to go the opposite side now. It's also hard, like on a grand final day, you almost want, like, I remember, is it Matthew Richardson, former Tigers?
Yeah.
Like when they won their first premiership, the first one for like 47 years or whatever it was.
Yeah. Cutting to him crying.
Cutting to him crying, cutting to him talking about what it means to him and people who have just been at the club forever. That kind of moment means a lot. But when it's like a regular season game and it's like, oh, they're down by 65, I reckon they're going to come back here if...
yeah, exactly. If they kick the next two...
Yeah, they kick the next two.
They're still alive. There's still a chance. No, they're not.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. I reckon we move on. So just the third topic we're going to go is Tim Tszyu. Everything seemed to be going so beautifully for him until suddenly it wasn't. An errant elbow to the head with one of the most vicious gashes we've seen. And watching that fight was so difficult. I mean, it's hard enough trying to block and throw punches without wiping blood out of your eyes while you're going through it in a world title fight. Kick off with you, Mertz. What do you think about where Tim is at the moment?
I'm just so furious at his team still. And I hear him talking everywhere he goes and how he talks about how the future's still there and he's still doing he's still looking forward to it. He's still looking for the hard fights and that he doesn't regret them not calling time. He's a fighter. That's what fighters do. What his team needed to do was pull him out of that fight and say, he can't see.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care what he says. He can't see. We need to run this back in 3 months. Because he now has a 1. That's no problem. That's what boxing is. You have your record.
Yeah.
But that 1 was undeserved. His loss is undeserved. He was going to knock Fundora out in the next 2 rounds. He was all over Fundora. And if it was, I'm going to say fair, but it's not like it was Fundora's fault. He just stood there and Tim tripped over his giant feet. But the team should have pulled him out of the fight because, now he's fighting Virgil Ortiz. And Ortiz is a great up-and-coming name. He's ranked 2 by BoxRec in the super welterweight division, having just come up from welterweight. And he looks the goods because he's 21-0 with 21 knockouts, and he seems to be doing it easy. Tim is a fighter. He has fought the best of the best available, the world champions. He has done everything he needs to do, and I'm so annoyed at his team because he could be fighting Terence Crawford now, and that is a bloody great fight, that what I really want to see. Virgil Ortiz, hey, it'll be a great fight. It'll be fun. Ortiz had, since he stepped up to super welter, has fought world number 191 Frederick Lawson and knocked him out in the first round, and he's fought world number 50 Thomas DeLorme and knocked him out in the first round. Tim Tszyu currently is ranked 4 by BoxRec, so Ortiz at 2, Tim Tszyu at 4. In his last however many fights, he's fought 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 world champions in the division. He's fought knocked out the number 22 in Ocampo in the first round. He's beat Tyrell Gaucher when he went to the US for the first time. He was world number 19. He's fought the best that are available. I just want to see him fight the best fights available, and Terence Crawford is the one.
Yeah, look, and you're right. The Crawford-Tszyu fight would have been incredible, but that one loss can just completely derail the train, and that's what's happened here. And yeah, you're right. His corner, when that cut happened, should have said he can't keep going. We can't obviously contain the flow of blood because it was a bloodbath in that ring.
What?
But at the same time, no fighter's ever going to say, "I'm not doing it." So.
But that's why his team needs to step up.
Yeah.
They need to do their job. That's their job.
I do agree that the team should have stepped in. they didn't, and now so Tszyu's in this position, and in a way, he's kind of now at the back of the pack. He was next in line for that big fight, but now he's going to be a year and a half, 2 years before he gets another crack at the crown, which sucks, and it's all from an errant elbow that is not Fondura's fault in any way, shape, or form. It sucks for Timmy, but that's the world of fighting. It takes one little misstep, and that was his team not pulling the pin after it was at the second or third round, and now he's a long way off the list of getting back there.
But see, I don't know if this Crawford fight is actually going to happen because so he's got Fondura Crawford will fight probably in November, December, sometime. Tim will fight Ortiz. Hopefully he wins that. But Crawford should beat Fondura.
Yeah.
Fairly easy, I reckon.
Yeah. Oh my God, easy.
Then it's up to Crawford if he wants to stay at this weight. If he wants to keep moving up, he'll have a unified 2 belts if he beats Fondura. Like, does he want to go defend it against Tim Tszyu? Or does he want to, hold on to his own?
Yeah, it's amazing what a setback one loss can be, Jimmy, as you were saying. And just the path that he was on and how quickly he went from, oh, wow, this is a novelty. This is Kostya's son. Gee, he looks a fair bit like him and whatever. And then I don't know, most of us have watched all his sort of fights coming through and you start to realise how good this bloke is and, how much talent is there. I think maybe his team, I agree with you, Mertz, but I reckon his team maybe got a bit overconfident, thought, no, we can still win this, even though the bloke could barely see because he started so well.
Those first 2 rounds were pretty evident that he was well on top.
Well on top. But and we all of us watching were like, okay, he's got this. This is fine, which is what we sort of all expected coming in. The only issue being Fondura's kind of height and the sort of awkwardness of fighting him. But that even now to see him as the co-main, like to see him as the second fight on a card looks wrong.
Yeah.
And, him coming out to the ring and knowing there's still a main event to come after that and all the rest of it, it really feels like a big setback to his career. I appreciate what you're saying about Ortiz as well, but he's dangerous and, he can knock people out. Yeah. And Tszyu's one loss away from, going so far back that it would be such a long road to get back. So we all hope he wins this fight, does it convincingly, sort of reminds everybody, particularly in the US, of what he can do. But I'm actually worried for him. I feel like we're right on the precipice now of his career. Is he going to go on and be a great and hold belts and multiple belts and all the rest of it like we hope that he can? And he's still relatively young in boxing terms. Or is he, are there going to be a couple or are we always going to remember this elbow as being the thing that derailed his career?
Yeah, if he loses to Ortiz, then boxing in America basically writes him off and says he's done. And
he starts up from the bottom.
He'll have to start again from the bottom. But you're right, that elbow could be the point that we look back on in Tszyu's career as, shit, that's where it all started to go downhill.
So frustrating because, it is the difference of the corner stepping in and saying, no. And I get what you're saying about the overconfidence. I 100% thought he was going to do it, even though he's wiping blood. He was landing the power punches, whereas Fondura just did the smart thing and just
kept his distance.
Jab. Keep the distance, keep him out.
And I think, I remember thinking, how much more epic is this win going to be? Look at what he's putting up with.
That's what we're all hoping for.
Yeah.
He could have stopped wiping. He was just
doing
that.
That's too much.
Just couldn't see.
Yeah, and then the cut man copped all sorts of abuse over in the US, and you didn't have the right ingredients in your.
Have you seen the size of the scar?
It was a crater.
Like how many stitches the thing needed to, a bit of Vaseline was not going to stop that one.
Nah.
Yeah, exactly.
Unbelievable. Well, we're all going to be watching. It's August 3. There's going to be a big build up to it, so massive night. Let's hope Timmy can turn it around. So I think we'll leave it there, gents.
Sounds good, gents.
Love your work. Thanks for listening. This was Sports Ranting.